This here, guys, is the new BMW 530i M Sport in Malaysia. This is the premium, more powerful option in the G60 BMW 5 Series range. So the usual questions are, is it worth getting this over the base 520i? And of course, how does it compare against the latest Mercedes-Benz E-Class? Answers to all that and more coming right now. Let's go. This review is sponsored by BH Petrol. Use Infinity around 95 Euro for M fuel today to enjoy your car's peak performance. With the latest generation German additives, it keeps your engine at its best, running smoothly and reliably. Special for our viewers, you can now use our referral code BHPXPaulTan and get free 200 e-points when you download the BH Petrol e-card app. As usual, let's start with the prices. First, this 530i over here is around 40,000 ringgit more than the 520i M Sport in Malaysia, slotting in just under 400,000 ringgit. However, that is only with the 2-year standard warranty. Choosing the 5-year extended service and warranty package, which for a car like this you would absolutely want, brings it up to 430,000 ringgit. That makes it about 10,000 ringgit more than the equivalent Mercedes E-Class, the E350e. Now, usually BMWs here in Malaysia and pretty much all over the world as well would have a small but distinct price advantage over the Mercedes-Benz equivalent, but not this time around. Also, if you're ready to go full electric right now, BMW also offers the i5 for pretty much exactly the same price as this. Moving on to looks, the G60 5 Series is very much a controversial design. It reminds me somewhat of the E60 Chris Bangle era 5 Series, where it's a little bit weird, not quite as classically handsome as you would expect a car like this should look. Personally, I don't think it looks quite as elegant or as stylish as the previous generation G30 or even the F10 BMW 5 Series models. And even compared to the contemporary Mercedes E-Class, the W214, I prefer the look of the 3-pointed star this time around. That's not to say that this is a downright ugly car, of course, because for sure this is way better looking than, say, the 2 Series Grand Coupe that's brand new, and of course the larger 7 Series as well. It's just that compared to its predecessors and its direct competitor, I don't think it looks quite as good. Do you agree or disagree? Do let me know in the comments below. Onto the side, the 530i wears these large 20-inch alloys which look far better than the ones on the 520i M Sport. But on the other hand, it still has the standard brake system, which is a bit of a disappointment because the last gen 530i had those upgraded BMW M Sport brake system with the blue calipers. Those look way nicer. On the flip side, I do like the full silver window lines around this car, which looks better still than the full black BMW 520i. I'm just not a big fan of the all black murdered out look on modern cars. What I really don't like, however, is the way the boot tapers down towards the back. This gives it a bit of an awkward look from afar. This here in particular is where the old G30 5 Series as well as the current E-Class look way better balanced, in my opinion. Now, I do like the new badging system with a bigger focus on the 5 rather than the 30i, but I do mourn the loss of visible tailpipes on a modern petrol BMW. Overall though, now that we are a few years into the latest 5 Series life, once we've gotten past that initial shock of it all, personally, I think this design has grown on me a little bit. It's certainly not the best looking car in the class, far from it, but it is pretty handsome in its own right, I would say. Plus, before you call me out as a BMW hater or a Mercedes-Benz fanboy, let's get inside where it gets much better. Now, the E-Class may have a flashy or visually impressive design, especially on first impressions, but once you've gotten past that, I think this is by far and away the better interior. For one, the build quality is just much nicer. Whether you're touching from the top to the middle to the bottom, every single bit that you can touch feels really premium. The materials feel good, and the construction is absolutely solid in here. Plus, at no point throughout the cabin do you ever feel like there are some cost-cutting measures put in. That is something you definitely feel in certain parts of the W214 cabin. Plus, I also think that this more muted, more business-like design will stand the test of time better than the more flashy, more perhaps ultra-modern look of the E-Class. Moving beyond design though, there are quite a few things I don't quite like in this BMW. Now, first of all, this big piano black piece over here is just ripe for fingerprints and scratches. I don't think this will last very long indeed. It's already got a few scratches down there. Plus, the way you are forced to adjust the aircon vent direction using these small tiny tips, it just doesn't really work. For me, I can never get it to point exactly at my face. I mean, this isn't quite as bad as those Chinese brands that make you adjust the vents using the screen, but it's not far off either. I think car brands should just leave the aircon vents well alone. They work, just don't change them, please. Next, I don't really like how the BMW digital meters have evolved. Now, traditionally, BMWs made the most beautiful, the most legible meters in the industry. Right now, there's actually 3 themes to choose from, but only one will actually show the rev counter. The second option shows it in a power bar from 0 to 100% like it's an EV, even though it's not, while the third option doesn't even have a secondary dial. I mean, I really miss a proper traditional BMW meters at this point. At the very least, Mercedes-Benz still offers a proper analog dials within its digital displays. Next, one thing that can be seen as either a positive or a negative thing is the lack of a sunroof in this car. Now, me personally, I don't think it's a loss at all because we live in Malaysia, it's hot all year round, that's never going to be used properly. But on the other hand, I do understand some people would expect all these things because they want to have all their money's worth. And this is supposed to be the highest spec BMW 5 Series you can get in Malaysia. You'd want everything to be fitted to it. One extravagant spec option this car does have, however, is the upgraded Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and it sounds fantastic. This is a big upgrade over the Harman Kardon system in the base 520i, and it sounds way better even than the Burmester system in the latest E-Class as well. And one last thing where this feels better than in the E-Class are the front seats over here. I think the leather feels better, the seat shape itself is slightly more supportive, and even the design, it looks way upmarket than the more plain looking thrones on the Mercedes. What I don't like, however, is that the seats lack any form of ventilation or massage functions. Now, that's not something you'd normally find in a German car at this price, but now that pretty much every single Chinese cars from 200,000 and above have all these features, it does start to feel a little bit stingy leaving these things out at double the price. Moving on to the rear seats, a few things immediately jump at you. For me, the biggest thing is just how strange the rear seat is shaped. The base itself, I think, is just angled in a bit of a weird way. I feel like I'm sitting a little bit too low, but with my knees up in the air. For longer journeys, it just feels a little bit strange, not as comfortable as it really should be. Now, in terms of space, it's really good. Lots of leg room, and headroom is generous as well. Although I still think the Mercedes-Benz E-Class is slightly better in this regard. It also feels slightly dark in here with a full black headliner, no sunroof as well. It can be a little bit claustrophobic for children who are sitting down low. What is definitely better in this 5 Series over an E-Class, however, is the air conditioning system. The vents themselves, you get more of them in this car. You get the side B-pillar vents as well that can blow more efficiently towards your face, while the E-Class only has center vents in its latest version. You also have additional controls back here for a full proper 3-zone climate control system, while in the E-Class there's literally a hole down there where the controls should be. We in Malaysia are shortchanged when it comes to that. Beyond that, you've also got a set of manual blinds on the side, one for the side mirror and one for the quarter window as well. That is pretty neat. And then on the back of the front seats, you've got these attachment points to install accessories such as an iPad holder or a coat hanger. That is a really neat idea, although this flap over here just feels really cheap. And then there's also the lack of any seat pockets back here. It's just a little bit strange. As for the boot, the 5 Series has a very generous 530 litres of cargo room, which is far more spacious than the heavily compromised E350e plug-in hybrid boot. That only has 370 litres. So on the move with the G60 530i, and again it is advantage BMW. Let's start with the engine first. This is the usual B48 2-litre inline-4 turbo engine, and here for the 530i it makes 258 PS and a full 400 Newton meters of torque. That is an improvement of a handful PS and a full 50 Newton meters compared to the G30 530i. That is a very healthy increase indeed, but you don't really feel it on the move because at the same time the car has also grown by quite a fair bit. This 5 Series, believe it or not, is now over 5 meters long, and its weight has also gone up by about 100 kilograms to 1.8 tons. This right here is now longer even than the E65 7 Series short wheelbase from 2 generations ago. But still, on paper, this is the quicker car. It gets from 0 to 100 in 6.2 seconds, 2/10 quicker than the G30 530i. Against its competitor, the Mercedes-Benz E350e, it's not really a fair comparison because that is a plug-in hybrid, so the performance will depend heavily whether you've got enough charge in the battery or not. With sufficient charge, the E350e gets from 0 to 100 in 6.4 seconds. That's on paper, and you can definitely feel it on the move as well, even if you drive the cars back to back. This is the quicker, more athletic car. This, by the way, is a gem of an engine. It sounds good, it revs very freely, and it's definitely one of the best 4-cylinder turbo engines out there. It is so refined, it almost feels as good as the all-electric i5. That is no joke. Not quite as good, however, is the transmission attached to it. Now I know this is the ZF 8-speeder, well regarded as the best transmission in the world, but I do feel that lately it has been tuned more and more towards efficiency. It starts to go to a much higher gear than it really needs to be, and then it feels a little bit slow and lethargic to shift down as you press the throttle. This was not an issue say 5-10 years ago, but it definitely is right now. As it is, it feels a little bit slow to react. It's not quite as natural or as immediate reacting as it once was. Still though, the whole driving experience is nothing short of excellent on this 5 Series. It's by far and away the better driving machine compared to the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. It's only when you're moving slowly, like say stuck in traffic, that the transmission can feel a little bit stumbly, a little bit jerky. That's not something you'd find in earlier versions of the ZF 8-speeder and even the current Mercedes E-Class. So yeah, it has regressed a little bit there. But overall, this is, like I said, a through and through excellent powertrain combination. Now, moving on to fuel consumption, I've driven this car on 2 separate stints now, each one covering about 200-300 kilometers, and I've averaged around 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Now that I think is very good given this car's performance envelope and its size and weight as well. It's again hard to compare against the Mercedes-Benz E350e given the nature of that car being a plug-in hybrid, as in if you charge it every single day before you drive out, you will end up using perhaps not even a single drop of fuel, whereas if you don't charge it at all, you end up using far more fuel than you would in this one. But still, taken in isolation, I'd say this is excellent fuel consumption for this BMW 530i. This fuel economy test was carried out using BH Petrol Infinity RON 95 Euro 4M, your ideal choice for peak engine performance, smoother drives, and improved fuel economy. Next, let's move on to ride and handling, where, as expected, the BMW absolutely shines. Now, take nothing away from the latest Mercedes-Benz E-Class. That is perhaps the most dynamic the E-Class has ever been. But unfortunately for Mercedes, the goalpost again has moved, and this time it has moved by quite a bit. This G60 is the best the 5 Series has ever been again. It is glorious how good this car's handling is. It's smooth, it's fluid, it's agile even despite its weight, and you know what? Yeah, it's an absolute joy to drive day in and day out, even more so than the really good G30 to begin with. The way BMW has mastered the ride and handling on this G60, it really reminds me of the great heydays of the E39 5 Series that was seen as the peak BMW 5 Series. This, I think, has surpassed even that. This is especially apparent with the adaptive M Sport suspension fitted to this 530i. This is way better than the standard passive setup on the 520i, I'd say. This offers a much wider window for the suspension to work in, whether you're in comfort or sport, and it excels in both settings. Now, most of the time I've left it in comfort, and it is really good. It's as comfortable, I would say, as the latest E-Class, while being far more dynamically capable. Even despite wearing these massive 20-inch wheels with rubber band Pirelli tires, the ride is excellent. Whether you're driving slowly around town dealing with potholes and speed breakers, or you're out on the highways with our badly crested, badly surfaced highways, the ride is through and through excellent. And then you get to the twisty bits, it's even better. By now I know you think I'm just gushing all over this 5 Series, but you know what? I think it deserves it. It's been a long time since I've driven a car this well set up. The one thing I don't like about this car's suspension is not even hardware, it's software. BMW, as in pretty much all of its latest cars, they don't really offer much in terms of customizability of its driving options. There is ironically a driving mode called Personal, but you can't really change anything within that mode. You can only ever change the suspension settings within the Sport mode, which I think is a bit of a miss by BMW. They used to offer far more customization in how you want to set up the car as a whole. I don't know why they've stopped doing that really. Anyway, let's move on to Refinement, where this car is good but not quite great. In terms of road noise, these being 20-inch Pirelli UHP tires, you do get a bit of roar coming into the cabin, but the Mercedes-Benz E-Class with equally large tires do feel far quieter still. And it's the same story with wind noise as well. You don't hear much until you hit about 120, 130, but once you do, there is a fair bit of it coming into the cabin. The E-Class with its double glazed windows is far more refined than this one. This has regular windows all around instead. Perhaps BMW is running two different refinement packages on their cars, because the all-electric i5 I distinctly remember being far quieter than this one. Lastly, let's move on to ADAS, or Active Driver Assist Systems. Here again, it is excellent. BMW, I've said this for many years, makes one of the absolute best ADAS systems, second only perhaps to Mercedes-Benz. Now with this one, I think it's right up there at the very top of the pile. It is so smooth, it is so natural when it comes to its assisted driving system, its full ACC, the way it controls the throttle, the brakes, the steering wheel. It's just so natural. The passengers would swear that you are taking control out of everything, you're not leaving it to the car itself. At no point does it ever tug on the steering wheel or jab on the brakes as most other ADAS systems would. This is really good. The only issue is this was once a big advantage BMW held over the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. But now that the E-Class comes with its own ADAS system as standard, finally, by the way, this no longer feels like an upgrade. It is just as good, but definitely not better. And just one last thing before we end, I'd like to touch on this car's 360-degree cameras because it is super annoying. Now again, the hardware is fine, the fault is in the software. The camera feed itself is nice and clear and very sharp. It's just that the way the software thinks it's trying to help out becomes really annoying. As you try to parallel park, it will all of a sudden try to zoom in towards the back, and then you move forward and it zooms into the front. Everything feels very abrupt, and your point of references all go missing. I find this really annoying. I'm not sure if everyone will as well. If it affects you the same way it did me, do let me know in the comments below. So that's my full review of the G60 BMW 530i here in Malaysia. All in all, like I said, this is an absolutely fantastic driving machine. It handles beautifully, it is super comfortable to be in, it has a solid interior, it's even good on fuel. What more do you want, really? Now yes, it is slightly more expensive than the Mercedes E-Class and its looks can be challenging to some people, but under the skin, this is by far and away the best car in its class. It's just not even close, really. Let me put it this way. In simple terms, one of the strongest aspects of the Mercedes E-Class is how comfortably it rides. This, on the other hand, rides just as well, but is way better in terms of dynamic abilities. That makes it a superior car in my book. Do you agree or disagree with me on this? Do let me know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, everyone, and stay safe. This review is sponsored by BH Petrol. Use Infinity RON 95 Euro 4M fuel today to enjoy your car's peak performance. With the latest generation German additives, it keeps your engine at its best, running smoothly and reliably. Special for our viewers, you can now use our referral code BHPXPaulTan and get free 200 e-points when you download the BH Petrol e-card app.